Jonathan Adam is an Aston Martin Factory driver who has won the British GT Championship as a driver 4 times, with him and his teammate James Cottingham leading the 2023 standings with only the Donington Decider to go. After helping Seas Motorsport secure the British GT Teams Championship at Brands Hatch, he sat down with the Apex Motorsport to discuss his season as well as touching on his hopes to return to the 24 Hours of Le Mans. So starting off with, it was a pretty good weekend. You started off with a pole position. How did that feel?
Yeah, really good. I mean, Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit's an awesome circuit to race on. It's a shame we're not allowed to race there more often, really, just with noise and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, to qualify around there on pole was what we aim for because overtaking is very tricky because it's quite a narrow layout, especially the Grand Prix part of the lap. So yeah, pole was great. James Cottingham, my teammate, put in probably one of the best lap times I've ever seen him do this year in qualifying. So he really got the best from the car, got the best from him in the tyre, and put us in A1 position for Sunday. So yeah, Saturday afternoon was pretty special, really.
Yeah. With that being said, so you kept the lead off the start of the race, into turn one, but then obviously in Loggy, he had a bit of a moment at turn one. How did the race really change from you then, from a team's point of view, or did you just carry it on from what the plan was originally for you?
Yeah, on our car, I mean, as much as Two Seas is a two-car team, I try and concentrate just on the four-car really of what James is doing, and I always constantly have a headset on as well to speak to James. So I was obviously mindful that obviously Ian got collected at turn one, and it was good to see him rejoin. The safety car massively helped those guys. Obviously, they were a bit behind at that point from the incident at turn one, but it went the opposite for us, unfortunately. The two safety cars, James drove literally away from everyone in the first sort of half an hour. So that eked out enough of a gap that I think in pit stops, if the pit stop did happen there and then, we would have probably came out second on the road and ahead of our championship rivals. But safety cars are coming round Brands, and unfortunately, two happened in the first 62 minutes, so it didn't really plan out for us.
So, was there a plan like heading into the weekend as a team of what you kind of wanted to achieve from the weekend so you could take the team's title?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've sort of done the championship a long enough time now. I've been involved in British GT on and off for 11, 12 seasons. So I've kind of seen how people think too much of a championship and sort of get too much pressure on them or put too much pressure on them. So we just tried to treat it like a normal race weekend. The hardest thing for us was trying to negate or get rid of that 20 seconds extra pit stop time. So qualifying was key. We done that. It all was going to plan for the first 35 minutes of the race. And then, as I say, the safety cars kind of went away. But yeah, as a team, I mean, we had one eye definitely still on a team championship. We didn't need much to get it obviously wrapped up at the weekend, points wise. And with two really good cars in the team this year, it's been great for the team because we've pushed each other. You know, myself and Jules, I've got a really good pro driver against me on the other side of the garage. And for James, he's an exceptionally good bronze driver, and so is Ian, last year's champion. So the team have got the best of everything really in there, and it's resulted in them wrapping up the championship before one more round.
And then going into the last couple of minutes of the race, you did have Gugnon behind you. So from your perspective, if he got any closer and you try to make a move, were you going to be aggressive and try and stop him, or was it more that you'd let him pass for the team's championship, or how were you going to play it if he did get close enough?
Yeah, Jules looked really, as he always does, pretty racy behind for the last sort of 15, 20 minutes. But they did pick up a little bit of damage, obviously, from the incident with Ian at turn one. But we had good pace in the car. I was sort of monitoring where he was better, where I was better around the lap. But I wasn't going to let him go by. You know, my goal was to try and obviously remain on a podium because obviously every point in our championship, the drivers' championship for myself and James, is crucial. So to let him go by would have lost us like 4 points. And I don't want James or myself to lose his championship by 4 points. So yeah, my mindset was just to keep him at bay. And to be fair, we had reasonable pace. You know, the top two looked to be very fast. Both the Aston Martin and the BMW looked fast at the weekend in race trim. But yeah, for us, we were up as many points as we could. We've still got a championship lead. and we've only got 10 seconds now going into the final round.
So then what was the atmosphere like after you won the team's title with, at Brands Hatch?
Amazing. Team owner Asa and Nick, they put a lot into this obviously team over the last few years to get it to where it is now. And it's a very for me, it's a very different team to even where they were last year. They've expanded to 2 cars, they've got more staff, more full-time staff, new premises, a big investment behind the scenes, but my God, they've done such a good job this year.
Yeah.
They've really been the baseline and the level for British GT throughout the year. And they've got great people, good people that are got good experience behind the scenes, not just in GT racing, globally racing in different formulas. They've got a really good package going just now, and I'm really excited for what they go and do in the future, because British GT is a great stepping stone for many teams to go on and go and win European or even world championships, like TS Sport, for example. That's a prime example within the Aston stable of they won British GT, went to do European Le Mans, and now they're Le Mans winners and world champions. So I can't see why 2Cs can't do that. And it's just great to see smiling, happy faces when we wrapped up the championship. And it's so well deserved, because of I know how much time and dedication they've put into both these two Mercedes this year, and it's definitely paid off.
And then for you, how impressive, like they've already existed the last kind of couple years. So how impressive is it that they already have this type of form without existing for very long?
Yeah, I think you need a good foundation, and definitely Asa and Nick have got that with the people that are around them, and that attracts obviously, when you have a good kind of core package to start with, it can actually attract some very good customers, just as James Cottingham and Ian Logie is a prime example this year. And I think for the team as well, you know, to be associated with Bahrain so heavily, it's massive press back in Bahrain. To win what is quite a hard fought GT3 championship, probably one of the hardest Pro-Am championships in Europe. Is British GT, how it's fought out, and for the team to achieve that already in their sort of short period as a team for Bahrain and for 2Cs and for everyone involved is massive. So I think it's big news back in Bahrain that they've achieved this, and I think hopefully it's a small stepping stone to hopefully some bigger things for them, and they have big aspirations to obviously hopefully one day as a team and step up the ladder and maybe one day get to Le Mans. So I think this is definitely that foundation.
And then with that being said, I saw earlier in the season you said how the caliber of the championships got a lot more impressive. Like the amateur drivers are taking it a lot more serious than they used to, and you've got so many factory drivers in the series as well. So do you feel like it's more of an achievement now to win the team's title with this stacked grid?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've seen the championship evolve as the season's gone on, as the years have gone on, sorry. Especially from, I would say, 2015, 16, I really see it sort of improve every year. And the last couple of years, and I would say this year is probably, yes, the number of cars on the grid is kind of swollen slightly, as in we had 14, 16 cars at one point in GT3. But you could see just by the caliber of pro drivers, they've got 7 or 8 factory drivers racing with customers in this championship this year. That's unheard of. You don't normally have that in Pro-Am racing. And Pro-Am racing, if you look now globally across the world, it's now 80% of what GT racing is all about. You can now, race in British GT, European Le Mans, WEC, Le Mans even now. There's only certain championships that have pro out and out racing, such as DTM, IMSA, and GT World Challenge Sprint. So yeah, definitely Pro-Am racing is where it's at. That's where the customers are. And I've definitely seen this year, especially in British GT, the improvement in the bronze drivers. How fast they are, how close they are to the pro, and how much testing and sort of time and dedication they're putting into their sport. Because, like anything, the more you can practice, the more you improve. And definitely this year, they've all upped the game. So you have to go with that and keep testing.
So you've been a Aston Martin factory driver for quite a long time. So is it weird that this is the kind of the first championship you've won out of Aston Martin really since the 2007, 2008 Seat Cupra championship? Is it kind of weird to win it outside the Aston Martin family?
Yeah, I mean it's you just touched on it. Yeah, the first time I sat in a Mercedes, which was briefly last year, was the first time I'd ever sat in something non-Aston. So it was very different, even doing a seat fit and something that wasn't an Aston Martin. But I have to be, very grateful to Aston. I've been with the brand and Pro Drive since 2012, really, as a junior driver, and then a fully contracted driver since 2013. And we had amazing success, even in British GT, winning 4 championships. But I have to thank them massively to allow me to go and race something different, because they could have said no at the start of the year, but they were very open to allowing not just me, a few other drivers within the stable, to sort of hone our skills and keep ourselves sharp and active, really, just in case we get called upon again for Aston commitments. And I am still, it doesn't change. I'm still an Aston driver, I'm still contracted with ProDrive. But I just have to thank them for allowing me to do this program this year with James. And it's been nice. It's been interesting driving something different, something non-Aston, and doing it. But at the same time, it's still got 4 wheels, it's still got steering wheel and pedals, it's still a race car. So you just have to learn as quickly as you can. And to be fair, having a driver such as Jules Gounon in the team as a Mercedes driver, I could definitely see the benefit of having him in the team, even for me, because his data, his experience with the car is a bit like what I have with Aston. So I've definitely improved a lot, I think, as the season's gone on, just for having him as a baseline, in the team.
That was the thing as well. As you're always in the Aston Martin quite a lot of the time, was coming to the Mercedes for 3 races last year and then for the full season this year, was there much you needed to learn about the car? Was there much differences between the two?
Um, Little things. I mean, the biggest thing is they're both front engine GT cars. The biggest difference I'd say is the power delivery. Obviously, the Aston runs the twin turbo V8, where obviously it's a normally aspirated V8 for the Mercedes. So power delivery, a little bit of weight differences between the cars. Aerodynamics is a little bit different. So yeah, there's fundamentals that are different. But even inside the cockpit, the way the buttons are laid out on the steering wheel, they're sometimes back to front or reversed. So just even learning that in the Mercedes took a couple of weekends, really. At Oulton Park this year, first time I really drove the car in anger in the wet, I didn't even know where the wiper was properly until I had to think twice that I wasn't in an Aston, and I was in a Merc to change the stock to get the wiper to work. But yeah, it's not been hugely different, but it's been good that we've done a bit of testing behind the scenes with 2Cs and James this year. That's allowed me to really get in the groove of where the car needs to be. And balanced performance means that the cars all will do a very, very similar lap time. So there's nothing that's quicker or slower than the other. They just perform in slightly different ways to get the lap time out of it. So yeah, it's been good. It's been really fun driving something different. But obviously this year I'm still quite heavily involved with Aston, with European Le Mans, with Asian Le Mans, and some other stuff as well. So yeah, it's like putting on an old pair of shoes. When I jump back in an Aston, it feels normal.
And then you're unsure if you can attend the final round at the moment. So have you given James any advice heading into that round just in case you're not there?
Yeah, I mean, I've done this Donington Decider for British GT is something that's gone on since 2010. I think that was the last time the championship had been won before the last round. And I've done, I think this year will be my 7th Donington Decider. So I have been in that sort of pressured environment quite a few times now. So I know what to expect. I know what to expect from the customers as well that I've raced with when they've gone into the Donington Decider. Yes, a lot of the time it has fallen my side with the customer that we've achieved good things, but yeah, definitely just trying to handle the pressure is the right thing, because it's easy to not think about it now because we're still not racing until October, but people will think about it more and more as it gets closer. And you could easily, and I've seen it before, put too much pressure on you thinking about a championship rather than just enjoying the race weekend. And what happens, happens. I think if luck's on your side, you could win it, great. And if luck's just not on your side, it doesn't matter. If you've got the fastest car out there, unfortunately, you won't wrap up the championship. But yeah, I'll pass on as much info if I'm not there for James, and give him his best a chance to win this championship, because I know how much it means to him. He's done the championship for a couple of years now, and for him and DK and everyone involved, all his sponsors, it would be a huge achievement to win this championship. So I'll give every bit of I can, to try and get the championship done for him.
And then there's only one round of this left this season, and then I think is there 3 rounds of the European Le Mans series left?
Yeah, there's a couple of
Yeah.
rounds. So yeah, we've got one more round next weekend at Spa,
Yeah.
and then the final round is the date clash between the two.
Okay. So with that, have you got any plans for next year? Yeah, I know it might be a bit early to ask now because we're still in September, but is there anything you're keeping an eye on for next year or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at different things for next year. Got a few things sort of taking place in the next sort of couple of weeks, couple of
Yeah.
months. I've loved British GT this year. I have done it a long time. Personally, I'd love to get back to Le Mans. You know,
Yeah.
that's the big thing I want to achieve. You know, having, you know, I've won Le Mans twice in two separate classes. GT3 is now obviously the class that will come into place next year. Um, and I want to be there. You know, I want to be back there and back there sooner rather than later. So, you know, that's my goal over the next sort of 12 months, 24 months to try and be on that Le Mans grid and try and go for a victory. I do like racing in Europe, I really do. But at the same time, British GT sort of made my career in a way with Aston since 2011. So it would feel weird not to be involved in British GT at some point, maybe next year. But at the same time, you know, I've really enjoyed racing in Europe this year, but my main goal, if I can, is to get closer and get back to the Le Mans 24 Hour race.